We've got some new rumors on Nick Chubb and where he could be playing in 2025. Welcome on into the Cleveland Browns Report. Matthew Peterson here talking all about 24 because Ken Carman from 92.3, longtime Cleveland sports radio personality, he had this to share on Chubb. Are we ready to say goodbye to Nick Chubb? I heard he's getting kind of close to a deal with another team that happens to be in the NFC North. And then that was followed by a lot of Bears reporters who the Chicago Bears did not go with the running back early in the draft, like a lot of people thought they might, were connecting Chubb to Chicago. So let's talk about it because this is going to be a little bit of a therapy session now. I think Nick Chubb is gone. And I felt this way really since the NFL Combine when Andrew Berry had his media scrum after his official press conference, and his tone, his word usage, everything sounded like a guy who was prepared to let Chubb test the open market. And after the draft, taking two running backs, it surely feels like that's an example of actions speak louder than words. And he had the words to go along with it, right? From what he said at the Combine to what he did in the NFL draft, taking two running backs, I fear that Chubb's time in Cleveland may be coming to an end. And I don't think it's a coincidence that after the Browns drafted two running backs, Nick Chubb has posted a ton of clips on his Instagram, like this one here. Of him just being a workout warrior. Now, Chubb has always been a freak of nature when it comes to his strength and his athleticism. And I'm betting that if Chubb goes to Chicago, who's got a much improved offensive line after a bunch of trades in free agency and a draft pick as well, that they will bounce back. Backtrack. Chubb will bounce back in Chicago behind a much better Bears offensive line in 2025 than they had the last couple of years. But yeah, I don't think Chubb is done in the NFL. I don't think he's cooked. I do think his time in Cleveland is likely over. And that stinks, right? Because this is a fan favorite. This is a guy that we all wanted to see start and end his career in Cleveland. But when you go with Quinshon Judkins in round 2 and Dylan Sampson in round 4, man, it's hard to see where Chubb is going to fit in. And it's hard to see why Chubb would want to fit in, right? They've got two rookies who they clearly value enough to take earlier in the draft and likely want to see them begin their NFL careers on a strong foot. So Chubb, I don't think is probably going to be returning to Cleveland in 2025. I think the Browns look at what they did in the draft and the fact that last year when he did play in half the season, he was, nowhere near the usual Chubb level, averaging 3.3 yards per carry. I thought he ended the year kind of on a higher note than the way he opened things up, and it was great to see him get in the end zone against the Steelers and that, blizzard, snow globe game. But yeah, right now I'm looking at the Browns running back room, and I don't think Jerome Ford is a guy that is going to be the difference maker as to whether or not Chubb returns. But I feel that two rookies signal a lot of what Cleveland wants to do. And if you're Nick Chubb, well, he has said he wants to come back to the Browns. Does that, change his mind with two rookies there? Possibly. You may feel like, I want to come back, but I don't want to come back just because I'm a Make-A-Wish kid. Like, I don't want to just be the RB3 on the roster and be some cute feel-good story and never see the field. I'm not working my ass off like he's doing right there, punching ceiling tiles with his head just to be a feel-good story of, hey, Chubb, we're going to give you the 53rd spot on the roster. We're not going to play you much, but we just want you to feel like you can always come back here. No, I think he wants to go out and continue to play and find a spot where he can get carries and touches, and I think that spot exists in a team like Chicago. I don't think it exists anymore in Cleveland. So should the Browns re-sign Nick Chubb? I'll give you my answer right after this, but first, scroll on down and let me know your thoughts. It is the pinned comment, so if a YouTube ad break comes on by, take advantage of it. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Personally, I would love to see Chubb come back, and I will always have a spot for him on the Browns roster, but I ain't in charge, and I don't think Andrew Berry is in that business. He's a very analytically driven type of GM, right? They take emotion out of it a lot of the time, and they go with the numbers. Now, he has broken that for the stars of the team, and he always tries to do right by them. So maybe this is an example of where he breaks that type of just like roster philosophy. But once more, when you take Judkins in round 2 and Dylan Sampson in round 4, I just don't see where they find a spot for Chubb. So it sucks. But I don't think this is a big grand surprise to anyone. We've kind of been expecting this, and I don't think it's completely dead that Chubb comes back, but I'm not putting money on Chubb coming back. Now, speaking of these two running backs, I do want to give you guys a little bit of background on each of them. So just spend the next couple of days with me learning every single pick the Browns made. Starting off with Quinshon Judkins. So here's the profile on him. 5'11", 221 pounds, 4.48 40-yard dash. You just do not find guys who are 221 pounds and run a sub 4.5 40-yard dash. He worked in a split backfield last year with Travion Henderson, but he's got great strength and toughness, and he's got good open field creativity and just speed altogether. Plus, in his entire career, the guy had 45 rushing touchdowns, 5 receiving touchdowns, putting him at 50 total touchdowns through 3 seasons of college football. After being the SEC Freshman of the Year, All-American for the Ole Miss Rebels, being a pretty coveted recruit coming out of Alabama, he spends 2 years with Lane Kiffin, transfers to Ohio State to win a national championship, mission accomplished, and then with the Buckeyes, all he did was help lead them on the ground to the Natty, working with Henderson. But here are some fun, facts and figures surrounding your new, in my eyes, RB1. In college, he missed 0 games. Great durability. In his last 2 years, 465 carries between 1 year at Ole Miss, 1 year at OSU. 1 fumble. At Ole Miss, he had 2 seasons with 17 or more touchdowns. 17 or more touchdowns in a year is a school record. He did that twice. Then he had 3 touchdowns against Notre Dame to seal the deal in the Natty. And finally, there is a little bit of a con, but you can look at it as a pro. He's got a lot of wear and tear. He's got some tread on his tires. 739 career carries. So while he did not miss any games going in his collegiate career, he's going to step into the NFL with a little bit more usage on his legs, and that can be a bit of a turnoff for some teams. I overall am really excited for Judkins. I feel that he slips to round 2 because he just didn't have the production that Omarion Hampton and and Ashton Genty had in last year because he worked in a split backfield. If he stayed at Ole Miss, for example, and had 3 consecutive years of the numbers he had in years 1 and 2, I think he would have been a round 1 pick, no question about it. Instead, the Browns are thankful to find him in round 2. I can't wait to see him take over this Browns ground game. Now, if you want to get a Judkins jersey or maybe a Mason Graham jersey or a Shedeur Sanders jersey, go to chatsports.com/CLE rookies. These are not their numbers, but once their numbers are announced, they will ship you the jersey. So you pay for it now, pre-order it, and then when the jersey number comes in, they send that jersey to you. It's a great way to support the channel as well and get a great new Browns jersey because I need a new one. I've got Amari Cooper. I've got Nick Chubb. I'm out of jerseys. All right, Dylan Sampson, you're up next. 5'8", 199 pounds. So not as big as Judkins. That's the first thing that pops out to me. A little bit faster, though, right? Just by 6/100ths of a second. Last year for the Volunteers, in his first season as the starter, he led the SEC in rushing yards while also being the SEC Offensive Player of the Year. Now, I've seen the comp thrown out of Tony Pollard. He's got really good speed. Usually when you see a running back with a lot of touchdowns, you go, oh, so he's a goal line back, so he's not very fast. No, he's got good legs. I think he's going to be viewed as a receiving upside type of player who needs a little bit of work on that in that department and some work in the pass protection department. But the good news is Judkins is going to step into the league and look like an NFL vet when it comes to pass protection as a running back. Last year for the Vols, though, a little under 1,500 yards, just under 6 yards a carry, 22 touchdowns to go along with it. He was an awesome back, and they used him anywhere on the field. He was not just reserved for the red zone. No, he could rip off long runs from his own 20-yard line or punch it in from the 15 to 10-yard line inside the red zone. Here is Samson by the numbers. He had, in his last year for the Tennessee Volunteers, 1 touchdown every 12.1 carries. That's unbelievable. You gave the ball 12 times, and next thing you know, you look at the scoreboard, you have 6 more points. He had 4 fumbles in 2024. That's his con. That is a ball security issue, and NFL running back coaches are not going to be happy with that. He got benched a few times or just sat down a few times during games because of the fumbling issues. In 35 career games for Tennessee, he had 36 touchdowns. You just walked into the game going, well, we're already up 6-0 because Samson has scored before the kickoff even got underway. 38 carries last year with 10 or more yards. For reference, Judkins had 22 carries, 22 or 28. So I think it was 28. So you can just see he's got some explosiveness to his game as well. And he is physical like Judkins. He is not just like some elusive scat back type guy. No, he does not mind a little bit of contact. 70 missed tackles forced. And I'm excited for what I think is going to be the next Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt tandem that the Browns and specifically Kevin Stefanski are trying to get back to. You look at what Chubb and Hunt were able to do when, relatively healthy from 2020 to 2022. That ground game for Cleveland averaged just under 150 yards and churned out 60 touchdowns and a winning record and also 5 yards a carry. Meanwhile, the last 2 years, yards per game drops by 40. They're getting 4 fewer yards per game as well, so lack of a trust or faith in running the football. Touchdowns goes way down, less than a yard a pop, and the record also goes below 500. The Browns want to get back to not just running the ball. Anyone can run the ball. You could run on first, second, and third down and get 4 yards and go, well, we ran it. They want to get back to doing it well, being one of the best ground games in football. They've got, I want to say, a little bit of juice left in that offensive line between Jack Conklin, Wyatt Teller, and Joel Bitonio. Veteran Ethan Posick at this rate right now. DeJuan Jones has been, an up and down guy for them. But with 2 new young running backs, hopefully this can be the moment where the young backs start to kind of carry the older offensive linemen, and the Browns can churn out one more awesome season of running football with that offensive line before inevitably we start to see some new faces up front with Bitonio, Teller, Conklin, all entering contract years. And Judkins and Sampson, I think by the end of the year, just as rookies, we shouldn't have too high of a bar. They're going to be looking really promising for the next couple of seasons. All right, name a random Browns running back to wrap up today's episode. I'm going to give you guys 3 seconds, and then we'll see if we say the same name. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Dearness Johnson. Let me know if you said Johnson as well in the comment section. Let's pick a card to wrap up our episode. Reed, which card do you want to go with? Queen of Hearts for Barkus? Nope. Queen of Clubs. I'm going to go with Queen of Hearts. I'm going to spite pick you right there. All right, here we go. We're all the queens. It's not a queen. I do. 4 of Hearts. 4 of Hearts. We're in the clear. You're in the clear. I'll see everyone later.